So hello friends, my name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. In this session, we will be discussing Indian Express of 10th of April, that is today, and we'll be discussing some important articles which can be important for your prelims as well as mains point of view. Okay, we will try to make sure that our focus will be integrated, that your mains perspective as well as prelims perspective is covered over here. Then here you can see there are certain articles which we have selected from the newspaper. One is related to your Sensex 75,000. Okay, so that is the mark Sensex has achieved yesterday. Okay, so we'll talk about that, and then we'll see what are the reasons behind it, how market sentiments are working in favor of Bombay Stock Exchange. Okay, then Global Hepatitis Report 2024. So this report has been launched by WHO, World Health Organization. So we will be talking about this particular report, and we will see what are the data related to burden of hepatitis when we are talking about global as well as India's perspective. Okay, then Higgs boson particle. So basically this particle has been used because the person who has discovered this particle, he is no more. Okay, so basically that is why we will be talking about this particular particle, because there are chances that UPSC might ask you this question. Okay, then lavender cultivation. Okay, so lavender cultivation has started in India recently in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so we will be talking about certain areas and we will see what are the conditions and why recently we have gone for this particular cultivation in you can say Jammu. Okay, so that is particular one thing, and then for your own read there will be one article, and then we'll look up to some articles related to your around the world, or you can say from the world page. Then we will move forward with the practice question. Okay, so this is today's front page. Here you can see High Court rejects Kejriwal's petitions. ED material shows that he has conspired and sought kickbacks. Okay, so this is some kind of political news. We have seen the working of ED. We have seen how ED is important. Okay, under which act it is working. All these things we have already discussed, so I will not go into details of that. Now coming to the second article, that is related to your strategic military infra upgrade in Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, so we will see what is the importance of Andaman and Nicobar, why we are going for this strategic military upgrade in Andaman and Nicobar right now. Okay, in our previous session we have seen that Andaman and Nicobar is a tri-service command. Okay, so we will talk about this particular strategic location as well as its importance. Okay, now third article, which is related to your hepatitis cases, which I have already told you we will be discussing. Now let's start with the practice question which was given to you in the last lecture. What fundamental rights are recognizable as source for the right against adverse effects of climate change? Okay, so this particular right has been added under the purview of Article 21. Okay, but when we are talking about this source, they have also mentioned Article 14. They have said that because of the adverse effects of the climate change, there are certain sections which are basically more, you can say, vulnerable to climate change, and that is why Supreme Court has said that by virtue of Article 14 and 21, we are interpreting that this particular right, adverse effect against the adverse effect of the climate change, this will be part of your Article 21. Okay, so source will be Article 21 as well as Article 14. Okay, now we can move further and start with the first article of the day, that is related to your strategic importance of Andaman and Nicobar. When we are talking about Andaman and Nicobar, you know that this is a group of islands. There are nearly, you can say, some 836 islands on this archipelago. Okay, and there are 38 islands which are inhabited. Okay, or other islands, you can say, they are not inhabited or there is no population living over there, they are remote islands. Okay, now surveillance of these other islands, okay, that is important. The remote islands, surveillance of these islands is important. Second thing is, when we are talking about the location of Andaman and Nicobar, here you can see here. So this is your South China Sea. Okay, this is China, South China Sea, and this is Bay of Bengal, and here we have this group of Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, now Andaman and Nicobar is on this particular, you can say, this is Malacca Strait of Malacca, and you know that from China's most oil trade is done by this Malacca Strait route. Okay, so ultimately this route is kind of important for China, and China wants that this rule stays in their control and there is no, you can say, exigencies in this route for China. considering that China has gone for the string of pearls, because obviously in this region there are two, you can say, big countries. One is India, second is China. Now both of them are trying to have their own influence in this sphere. China wants that there should be a hegemony on this particular area, and China wants that there is no exigency in this Strait of Malacca, because obviously their economy is relying on that for the oil. Okay, now they have started this policy of string of pearls. Okay, string of pearls is a policy, you can say this is a name which is given by the experts to a policy wherein China is trying to cover India, its maritime borders here. This is your string of pearls. Basically there are certain ports which has been China is trying to get a control of. Okay, so in Myanmar there is Kwakpyo, and then recently there is this Kokos island in Myanmar. Then here is Hambantota, you must have heard about it. Then there is Djibouti somewhere here in African continent, and then we have Gwadar port over here. So all these ports are somehow having some kind of Chinese interference over there. Okay, sorry. Sorry. So they are having some kind of interference over here, and that is why this string of pearls is basically a policy wherein China is trying to, you can say, cover India from all its maritime boundaries. Okay, now what is India's reaction to that? We have necklace of diamonds. Okay, this necklace of diamonds, what we are trying to do is we are also trying to go with the like-minded countries, and we are also trying to get access to their strategic locations. Okay, so like Myanmar, then there is Maldives, then you know that there is this Assumptions Island. Okay, and then we have Chahbar port. All these areas we are trying to get some access over there, so that we can also counter this string of pearls. Other than that, there is this double hook policy as well. Okay, similarly, double hook policy, you can say there is another name for string of that necklace of diamonds. So basically I would want you to, like, it will be like this: one hook, India will try to cover this particular Strait of Malacca, one hook, and then there will be a second hook. Okay, so that is your basically double hook policy. Now I have told you this particular names or terminologies. Please go and check what this double hook policy is, what is necklace of this diamond is, because everything we cannot cover in this particular session. But the thing is, I might have discussed this necklace of diamond earlier as well, and this double hook policy I will take in the further classes. Okay, so that is why this particular area becomes important, and since it is on this particular sea route, that becomes even more important for us. Okay, now third thing is that when we are talking about Andaman and Nicobar, we have a tri-service command over here. Tri-service command means that our three services of our army, navy, as well as your air force, these are actually you can say situated over here, and they have command over here wherein three services can operate. Okay, so that is why Andaman Nicobar even becomes more important. Here you can see this is Strait of Malacca. Okay, and this Strait of Malacca is a choke point, you can say, for our trade, and that is why China wants that it is secured, because most of the trade is taking place from this particular area. And in the vicinity of the Strait of Malacca, we have this Andaman and Nicobar Islands. In the south, we have Port Blair, Car Nicobar, and this is there are certain islands which you must remember. Then I must have discussed that there were three islands whose name has been changed. In 3-4 years back, there were three islands, like one is Neil Island, second is Havelock, third is Ross Island. Now their name has been changed by our government. Now I would want you to go and check what are their recent names. Okay, so this is your homework. Now we have discussed the strategic location of Andaman and Nicobar. Now coming to the article again, and before that I would want you to see this particular explained session here. The Andaman and Nicobar Island are of great strategic importance, since they straddle one of the busiest sea lanes in the world, that is, they are talking about Strait of Malacca. Okay, and give India the reach to monitor the flow of traffic from South China Sea, that is Pacific Oceans, to the Andaman Sea, that is in Indian Ocean, via Strait of Malacca, that is key to trade and shipment in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, so that is the importance of Malacca Strait. Okay, now coming to the article. Revamped airfields, jetties, and additions additional logistics and storage facilities, habitat for troops, to a robust surveillance infrastructure. The strategic Andaman and Nicobar Island are in the middle of major military infrastructure upgrade. Now, why we are doing it now? All these things, why we are going to do it now? But because recently you may have seen that China is being more aggressive in this particular region. Okay, when we are talking about South China Sea, you must have heard about the Philippines issue. Okay, then you must have heard about the petroleum related issues over there. Okay. Then other than that, as I told you, there are certain things like this string of pearls. Okay, so that is very concerning for India, and that is why we are trying to make a safeguard against all these things. Okay, other than that, when we are talking about other borders of our Chinese border with India, when we are talking about Ladakh area, when we are talking about Arunachal Pradesh area, we have seen aggressions over there. So China is being little bit aggressive over there. That is why we are taking a precautionary measure. Okay, now here you can see it aimed to facilitate deployment of additional military forces, facilities for a larger and more warship, aircraft, missile batteries and troops. So basically what they are doing is they are trying to create an infrastructure which can house a more logistics, more equipments from the logistics point of view as well as from the troops deployment point of view. Okay. Then amid growing Chinese attempts to expand its influence in the region, construction of a military facility at Myanmar's Coco Island, lying 55 kilometers north of Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now, what happens is China is going for a military facility they are trying here in the Coco Island. Okay, and that is why it becomes more concerning for us. Okay, we will see where Coco Island is. Now, there are 836 islands in Andaman and Nicobar, only 38 are inhabited, which we have already talked. The Andaman and Nicobar command is the first and only tri-service command in the island, and it is established in 2001. Okay, so please remember this particular point. Now, the source says that these plans is to significantly increase the surveillance infrastructure at one of the northern island of Andaman and Nicobar and to construct a permanent habitation for troops over there. Okay, so as I told you, these are certain steps which has been taken by the Indian government. Now let's see where is this Coco Island. Okay, here. So this is your Andaman and Nicobar group we have talked about recently, and in the northernmost area of this particular place, here we have in this archipelago we have this Coco Island. Now this Coco Island is not India's island, it is Myanmar's island. Okay, so when we are talking about this Coco Island, now China is trying to create some kind of influence over there. They are trying to go for a military base in the Coco Island. Okay, so that is why it is becoming more concerning for us, and that is why now we are going for more surveillance and more you can say strategic equipment etc. in Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, now when we are talking about this Coco Island, don't get confused with the Cocos Island. Okay, because there are two Cocos Island. One is in your Pacific, or you can say this particular area wherein you have this Cuba etc. Okay, Costa Rica, or you can say this area of your Cocos Ridge, and here we have this particular place which is your Cocos Island and National Park. Okay, so this is basically in your, you can say this side there is an Atlantic and this side we have Pacific. Okay, so this is one place, and second, when we are talking about this Cocos Island, we have this in the vicinity of Australia. Okay, this is Australia, and there is this Cocos Island, or this is also known as Killing Islands. Okay, so please remember that there are two kind of Cocos Island. Okay, one is in your Pacific side and second is in your Indian Ocean only, that is near Australia. Okay, now these are two Cocos Island, and when we are talking about this Myanmar Island, this is Coco Island. Okay, so please be cautious about it. Okay, now coming to the article again. Here you can say what they are doing is, what they are building over here is, there are certain things what they are building, the road from north of the island to the Port Blair. Then there is this hangar and dispersal system at INS Utkarsh in Port Blair. Okay, hangar and the dispersal system means that for the landing, horizontal and the vertical landing of the aircraft, they are going for these hangars. Okay, modern hangars they are trying to build. Okay, then enable accurate horizontal and the vertical guidance to land aircraft safely in the low visibility conditions. That is what I have talked about. Now integrated underwater harbor defense and the surveillance system that Navy has actually they have procured it. Now naval communication network, that they are going for the NCN centers at INS Kohasa, INS Baj and INS Kardi. These are INS, or you can say these are the ships which has been commissioned in the Andaman and Nicobar area. Now there is this National Remote Sensing Center NRSC to increase the manpower and to analyze the satellite imagery so that they can go for the surveillance of the remote areas. Okay, so these are certain steps which they have taken. This is not important for you, so please don't go into it. Just remember the strategic importance for it. Okay, now remember these map work. Now we can move to the next article, that is census at 75,000. Okay, so actually they have recently, you can say on Tuesday, they have breached this mark of 75,000 for the first time. Okay, and it is driven by certain anticipation that corporate industry is doing very good. Okay, so when we are talking about this particular thing that they have surpassed the 75,000 mark, and why they have done that, there are certain reasons which we will be discussing in the next slide. But the thing is, here there are certain important things that when they have crossed different marks, here you can see. So in January 1986, they have crossed this mark, that is we have come up with this particular BSE, okay, Bombay Stock Exchange. I'm sorry, this is the time we have actually launched Bombay Stock Exchange with the base price of 100. Okay, with that we have started, and base year was 1978-79. Now this particular information is quite important for you. Then second is in May 2014 we have crossed this mark of 25,000. Okay, now when we are talking about this mark, these are basically, you can say, a index which says or which indicates that how market is performing. Okay, so if it is increasing, it means that market is doing good. Okay, it is on a right path. Now January 2021 it crossed 50,000 level, and 2024 it crossed the 75,000 layer. So since BJP government has come, okay, 2014, it has already started with the mark, that is 25,000, and you can say in the next 10 years they have crossed nearly, or they have increased 50,000 marks. Okay, now that is about Sensex. We will see what are the reason. Here you can see Bombay Stock Exchange crossed 75 mark for the first time. Nifty 50 opens above a new record high of 22,700. There are two, when we are talking about our market, there are two indicators. One is used, that is Bombay Stock Exchange, and then there is this Nifty. Nifty is a group of 50 companies, and this Bombay Stock Exchange is another one wherein it has crossed the mark of 75,000, and Nifty has also performed well with the highest mark, that is 22,700. Now they have opened up at 70,125 and 22,765. So that is a good indication. Then market growth and milestones. As I told you, this we have already discussed, that for the first time they have crossed this 25,000 mark in May 2014, and in 2021 they have crossed this 50,000 mark, and recently you have seen that it has crossed the 75,000 mark. Now coming to the factors which have driven this market optimism. Market optimism here is that people are speculating that the market will go on a better trends. So that is market optimism. Now when we are talking about this market, when we are talking about stock market, they works on the sentiments. Okay, when there is optimism, it will increase. Then when there is pessimism, or you can say there are speculations that market will not do good, then it will you can say slow down. So strong expectation for Q4 corporate earnings. So in the quarter 4 we are saying that corporate earnings will be good. So that is why, that is one positive point, and because of which market has shown positive trends as well. Second is favorable US economic data. So in USA what is happening is that investors are basically waiting for the inflation report, and because of which US's market has gone flat. Okay, they are hoping that there will be some easing in the market, or when we are talking about in the terms of inflation, there will be some easing by the federal bank over there. Okay, so that is why the US's market has gone flat, and because of which Indian market has got a boost. Okay, then easing oil prices after that issue that has happened in your Red Sea area, because of which these prices has been increasing, and recently these prices are now stabilizing, and because of which there are also positive trends. So that is why, considering all these three details, or that is why we can say that market is showing some positive trends, and we have seen this particular event, that is mark has crossed 75,000. Now next is related to your India's highest hepatitis cases. Okay, there are certain data which has been given by the Global Hepatitis Report 2024, it is released by World Health Organization, WHO. So please remember that. Okay. So what data are saying that there is this proportion of global infections which is nearly around 11.7%, and then when we are talking about these cases of hepatitis B that have increased 50,000 in that particular year of 2020, last year basically the data is saying. Then when we are talking about deaths due to hepatitis B, that is 98,305. Hepatitis B diagnostic coverage is 2.4 and treatment coverage is 0. So from hepatitis B, one thing we can say is that there is less diagnosis. Okay, so you can say the detection, we are not able to detect these particular cases, that is nearly 2.4%, that is very low. And then whatever cases we have detected, there is 0% which are getting the treatment. Okay, so that is very poor indicators. Okay, you don't have to remember this data, but please remember these two data. Okay, now hepatitis C, when we are talking about, there is a burden of nearly 0.55 crore. Okay, and proportion is 11.2% globally when we are talking about. Then 26,000 people has died because of this particular thing, and there is a diagnosis coverage of 28%. Okay, and 21% people has received treatment. So in this particular front we are doing better, but when we are talking about hepatitis B, we are not doing good when we are talking about the giving the treatments. Okay, so this is the data which is given over here. So if you want, you can go through it. Okay, and then when we are talking about this particular toll, so when the overall global burden, we have of overall global burden, 11% burden is in India. Okay, so after TB, highest burden is of hepatitis. Okay, so please remember that TB has the highest burden and hepatitis has the second highest. Okay, now here there are certain things which we can remember. This hepatitis is a viral disease, and infections can cause liver inflammations and damage and may lead to liver cancers as well. Okay, so that is disease which is infecting your liver. Second thing is hepatitis B is known to cause acute infections, and there are some symptoms like nausea, vomiting, yellowing of the eye and skin for the several weeks. So basically what is happening here is that there are certain you will feel nauseatic, then you will feel like vomiting, there are yellowing of eyes and skin for several weeks. So that is the basic symptoms. When we are talking about the severe cases, there will be a liver failure as well. Okay, now challenge is that hepatitis B can lead to chronic lifelong liver diseases in some cases, especially when this infection has started in the childhood. Okay, so that is about hepatitis B. Okay, and when we are talking about this particular situation of hepatitis B, we have this vaccine. Okay, we have vaccine for hepatitis B. So out of B and C, out of hepatitis B and C, we have vaccine for hepatitis B. Okay, though we have treatment for both of them, but vaccine is only available for the hepatitis B. Okay, now both hepatitis B and C can be transmitted through blood transfusions and infected needles, contact with infected blood, and from mother to child during delivery. So basically that is from your blood it can be transmitted. So here you can say there is this blood transfusions, then infected needles can do it, contact with the infected blood, and from mother to children. When we are talking about most of the cases recently, they are because of the from mother to children, because these things can be, you can say, restricted, because these infected needles, there are there are very less chances that hospitals are going for these such things. Okay, but still that can happen because of these particular things. When we are talking about blood transfusions, most of the time now blood banks are going for the infection free blood. So that is in rare case it can happen. Otherwise most of the things are happening, most of the cases are happening because of mother to child. Okay, during delivery. Okay, hepatitis B can be prevented through vaccination. As I told you, there is a vaccine for that. And when we are talking about to reduce the cases here, there is need to ensure that all newborn receives the complete vaccination. Okay, and offers to adults who are born before the vaccination was included in the program. So here what we are saying is that for the newborns there should be a vaccination. We have Indradhanush mission, so please remember that Indradhanush. And then those who has not had the vaccine while they were born, so they should also be given a vaccine. When we are talking about hepatitis C, that can also be cured with a medical treatment. Okay, though several Indian pharmaceuticals manufacture generic version of the drugs for treating both type of viral hepatitis as well as the diagnosis, the coverage remains poor. As I told you, the coverage is poor, detection is poor, and treatment is also poor. Now, when we are talking about the availability of the treatment, there are very pharmaceutical companies which are providing you the generic medicines, and there are diagnostic tools, etc., which are available, but still there is you can say there is coverage is still poor. Okay, in fact, the cost of treatment is lowest in India. Okay, so that is a good sign. Second is, although there is a national viral hepatitis control program, we have this national viral hepatitis control program. Okay, then almost 90% of the hepatitis B transmissions happen from mother to child, that I have already told you, because all the blood banks in India now providing safe blood. Needle stick transmission in healthcare workers is also limited because most are vaccinated. Okay, now when we are talking about hepatitis B, there is this particular program, universal immunization program in India. Okay, so you know that for that we have Indradhanush, wherein we are going for the vaccinations. Okay, and the government's viral hepatitis control program is there. Okay, so please remember these one or two things from here, that is national viral hepatitis control program. We have this program for hepatitis. Okay, vaccines to high risk adults like healthcare workers, that should be given. These are certain things which they have discussed, or the crux you can see over here. There are certain symptoms, as I told you, in hepatitis B, when there is acute symptoms are there, that is nausea, vomiting, jaundice, and all these things can happen, and ultimately if there are severe condition, can be a liver disease or liver failure as well. Okay, then there can be liver cancer. Then when we are talking about hepatitis C, it is asymptomatic, like you will not be able to see the symptoms of it, but can lead to severe complication if untreated. Okay. Then when we are talking about transmission and the prevention, we have already told you that there are certain things like blood transfusion, mother to blood during mother to son or daughter during the pregnancy, or other than that there are certain things because of the infected blood, if you are in the contact with the infected blood or needles, etc. So that can happen, but mostly it is because of the mother to child transmissions. Okay. Now vaccines are available for the hepatitis B. Just remember that vaccine is only available for the hepatitis B. I have repeated it again and again, so please make sure that you remember it. Now, what are the challenges? As I told you, there is limited awareness, utilization of the available services. Now the thing is, as I told you, there are services which are available, there are pharmaceutical drugs which are available, there are diagnostic tools which are available, but the thing is there is limited awareness, and because of which you are not able to diagnose it, and ultimately you are not able to treat it. Now, gaps in the implementation of the control program. Solution includes enhancing the access to affordable diagnostics and treatment, expanding vaccination program, and ensuring early detection and intervention. Focus on hepatitis C treatment, shorter duration therapy available for the hepatitis C, offering potential care, and then here you can say timely diagnosis and the treatment crucial for reducing the impact on the individuals and the public health. Okay, these are some generic points for your mains answer writing. Okay, now we can move further with respect to the next article, which is related to your Botswana. Botswana is a country in African continent. Okay, so in this particular country, what is the issue is that the population of elephants is too much. Okay, so earlier what used to happen is they used to go for the trophy killings or trophy hunting. Okay, trophy hunting is then practice wherein hunters are allowed to go for hunting, and they can take the body parts of that particular animal as a trophy. Okay, so that is trophy hunting, and this is also a market over here. There are imports of trophies from the animal parts, etc. So that was prominent in the Botswana. Recently they said that we will go for the ban on the trophy hunting. Okay, they have put a ban in 2013-14 I guess, and 2013, and then they have removed this ban in 2019. Now why they have removed the ban, and now why they are talking about all these things, let's talk about it. Okay, so as I told you, there is a huge elephant population in this particular area. Here you can see there is nearly 1.3 lakh animals, or you can say 1.3 lakh elephants which are present over here. Okay, so Botswana has literally an elephantine problem. There are too many elephants. Okay, and they have said that they would like to send 20,000 animals to Germany, and because Germany is the largest importer of your animal trophies. Okay, so that is why they have said that they would like to send 20,000 elephants over there. Okay, now here you can say Germany is said to be the largest European importer of African elephant trophies. Why are so many elephants in Botswana? So when we are talking about this particular area, earlier there was various you can say conservation plans which were implemented by the government over there, and which resulted very well, okay, and because of which population has increased. Then there was this trophy killings which was happening over there. They have put a ban on these killings in 2013, because of which also these problem has increased, because population kept rising, okay. Safe haven to the elephants due to its stable government and small population. Now when we are talking about this area of Botswana, you must have seen that in the, you can say, middle or the upper Africa, there is this Sahel region, and there are various issues, political crisis is going on there. There are various warlike situations which are prevailing over there, but this country is peaceful. It is far it is kind of far from that particular area which is disturbed. So this country which is peaceful, stable government is there. There is a less population. You can say that for nearly 40% of the land is utilized by these elephants. Okay, so you can see how many elephants should have been there, because nearly 40% of the land is occupied by the habitat of elephants. Okay. So now when we are talking about this Botswana, it is basically there is no poaching because they have banned it. Okay. So now here you can say mass poaching in Namibia and Angola. Elephants in Botswana stopped crossing the Kobe River. So there is this river. I will show you on the map. Okay. So this is the location of Botswana in the southern part of Africa. Here you can see this is Botswana. It has boundaries with Namibia. Then it has Zimbabwe and South Africa. Okay. Some boundary it has boundary, it does not have, or a small boundary with Namibia. Okay, so please check if it is having a boundary with Namibia or not, but I think it does not have boundary with Namibia. It has boundary with Namibia over here, Zimbabwe and South Africa. So please you can go and check it. Now when we are talking about the boundary between Namibia and Botswana, there is this river. Okay, there is this river over here, that is Kobe River. In this particular picture you can see this is the boundary. Basically here you can see this is the boundary of Namibia and Botswana, and here you have this particular river. Okay, so this river is basically Kobe River, okay, or Chobe River, however you want to pronounce it. Now this is tributary of larger Zambezi River. This is Zambezi River. Okay, Zambezi River is not present in Botswana, but it has a tributary, that is Kobe River, which has small presence in Botswana. Okay, now what is happening over here is this particular river has a boundary with Namibia and Angola. Okay, here you can say this is Angola. So there was this poaching activities which are happening in Namibia and Angola, and because of which elephant has stopped crossing this river. Okay, because they know that there is a threat of life, so they have stopped crossing this river. Ultimately they are limited in that particular part, and that is why population is increasing in this particular area. Okay, so and when we are talking about this, what is game trophies or trophy killings, here you can see that game trophies described as the prepared bodies or parts of the body of an animal killed in a big game hunt. Okay, so here you can see there are some elephant heads which are over here hanging. Okay, so these are elephant trophies. Okay, so obviously for such things to happen you have to kill the animal first. Okay, so that is why they have stopped crossing this particular Kobe River over here, and because of which ultimately you can say this population is stuck in that particular area. Okay, now they had this strict conservation policies, giving shoot to kill orders against the poachers, etc., and that is why the animal population has increased. Now why has hunting allowed again? As I told you, this hunting was banned in 2013, and 2019 it was allowed back again because the population was increasing too much. Okay, and when this population is increasing, what is happening over there, that these animals are entering into the lands. These animals are basically going for the man animal conflicts are there. They are destroying the fields, etc. Okay, so that is why they have started this poaching again. Okay, today elephants inhabit nearly 40% of the area. There are human man animal conflict, then there are herds of animals which are entering into the rural areas. They are destroying the fields, etc. They are using excess of water. Okay, all these things are happening over there. Ultimately they are trying to trouble the communities which are living over here. Okay, so other than that, when we are talking about the ecological point of view, here you can see that whenever there is a species which is increasing the population, ultimately it will harm the other species as well, because they will be living on the, you can say, resources of other species as well. Okay, now they are going for the destroying of grasslands, etc. So ultimately the species which are living over there, they can also be at threat. So that is one thing. Okay, then how does elephant hunting help? So they are saying that how it will help. First thing is that obviously population will limit from the hunting. Second thing, they are saying that because of which there will be a economy surrounding it which will generate. Okay, so as I told you, there is this trophy gaming, or you can say trophy animal trophies, which are being imported by various countries. So ultimately you can say that there is a economy which is building around it. Okay, so that is one part over here. Okay, here you can see that there are some trophy hunting bought nearly $5 million to local communities in Botswana. Okay, so that is one thing. Nearly $250 million has been injected in South Africa, South Africa's economy yearly. Okay, because of these trophy hunters. Okay, so this is what they are saying, that because of which the economy will get benefited. Other than that, the population is also under the check. Okay. Second thing, which is a little bit illogical, I don't know, but they have written over here, is that they have said that ultimately this particular trophy hunting, or whatever money is coming out of this trophy hunting, ultimately helps in the conservation of the species itself. Okay, so whatever money comes, they will use it for the conservation effect, conservation you can say initiatives of these particular species over there. So first you are killing them, and now you are trying to conserve them. So I think this is illogical, but again that can be in the respect of other species. Okay, but again that is not justified, killing one species at the cost of other. You can go for the translocation, you can go for other things. Okay, now what's the problem then? Okay, so ultimately after this decision of going for the hunting, or you can say hunting again, what is the problem? Problem is that human rights as well as there is this animal rights. Okay, so there are people who are both vouching for the animal rights. They are saying that this is not a good idea. When we are talking about the economy, they have said that there is only 0.03% of the GDP that has been contributed by the trophy hunters, and then at most 0.76% of the overall tourism jobs are created because of this. Okay, so ultimately they said that it is not that much of you can say positive point when we are talking about the economy. So that is the problem, basically animal rights. Okay, so that is about your article here. So from this article, what you have to remember is that first thing, why Botswana is in news? Because of the animal you can say population. Second, what is trophy hunting? Okay, why Botswana is in news? Third thing is that you can also remember the Kobe River. You can remember Zambezi River. You can remember the boundaries. You can know that Botswana is a landlocked country. So please remember all these facts from here. Okay, now we can move further with the next article. That is related to lavender cultivation. I will not go into details of this because that will not be very much important. But recently what has happened in Jammu, there is this in Jammu and Kashmir, there is this particular district, that is Doda district. Okay, in that Doda district, there is this institution, they have gone for the lavender cultivation, and they have influenced the farmers to go for the lavender cultivation, and ultimately they have seen that there is some kind of incentives which they are getting. A farmer is earning nearly 1.5 lakh rupees a month over there. Okay, so that is why they have this particular event has been in news. When lavender cultivation was first introduced in the Badre subdivision in the Jammu and Kashmir Doda district in 2015, they have introduced it in 2015. Most farmers were skeptical about it, and just a handful of them has give it a go, and ultimately those are benefited by it. So after the cultivation of lavender, in the few years they have gone for their own distilleries. They are making oils, they are making this agarbattis, etc. Okay, so they had made a particular industry around it. Okay, here you can say their own distillations unit are there, making lavender oil, market their product in different parts of the country. Okay, and they are earning nearly 1 to 1.5 lakh rupees a month. The crops was officially introduced by Badarwaha by Council of Scientific and the Industrial Research, Indian Institute of Integrative Medicines. Okay, so basically they have actually gone for the proposal wherein they have started going for this particular cultivation in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, now lavender, which can be grown in areas which experience snowfall. Okay, so there are certain conditions here. You can see one is there should be snowfall. Okay, the terrain should be hilly terrain. There should be these blossoms. Okay, and this particular cultivation will be ready for the harvesting after 2 to 3 years. Okay, once you have that particular thing has happened, or they have developed this cultivation, so that will give new flowers till nearly 18 to 20 years. Just like other cultivations of you can say sugarcane, the mango cultivation, etc. Once you have established this cultivation, there will be nearly 18 to 20 years you will get the results out of it. Okay, Here it does not require the amount of insecticides, pesticides and other chemicals used on conventional crops like maize and paddy, okay, because obviously in that particular area the temperature requirements are like that, okay. So that is certain conditions which you can remember for the lavender plantation. UPSC has this trend of asking these plantations, or you can say these plants which are in news, okay. So there is this sea buckathron, or there was this you can say drumsticks which they have asked about, okay. So similarly they can even ask about lavender, so please remember this particular thing, okay. Now lavender is used for manufacturing perfume, soap, agarbatti, room freshness, etc. What is the worry here, okay? So worry here is that recently the price has dropped over here, okay. Ultimately when we are talking about lavender, earlier it was nearly around 12,000 rupees per liter, okay, and that price has been dropped to nearly 2 to 3,000, okay. So you can say that nearly 3,000 per liter it has dropped to, okay. Why it has happened? Because of the imports. We are importing this lavender oil, etc., from the foreign countries as well, and that is why price in India is dropping, the domestic price is dropping. So that is a concern. Other than that, that is a particularly, you can say that a very fruitful endeavor, that is lavender cultivation, okay. Now moving further, Nobel physicist Higgs, who has proposed God's particles existence, dies, okay. So basically because of his death, this particular topic was in news. When we are talking about Peter Higgs, he has come up with the idea of this God's particle or Higgs boson, okay. So it has explained how matter is formed after the Big Bang, okay. So this is part of your Big Bang theory. And then when we are talking about this Higgs particle or Higgs boson, or you can say God's particle, that is the smallest unit which we are thinking of right now, okay. Then he has come up with this idea in 1964, and after almost 50 years later there was this you can say Large Hadron Collider which has been generated, and because of which they are being able to prove the existence of this particular particle, okay. So in 2012 they have almost found this particular particle. So please remember, the idea was propagated in 1964 by the Peter Higgs, and in 2012 they have come up with this particular particle. Now what is this particle? When we are talking about the physics, we know that everything is built of these molecules, then elements, then there are atoms, and we have this particular thing of electron, proton, neutron, etc. So ultimately what is the basic unit of all these things, okay. So ultimately we are considering God's particle or the Higgs boson as the basic unit, okay. We will see here physics of how world is constructed, or when we are talking about this Big Bang theory or every theories which are string theory, etc., we are trying to find that how this universe has actually generated, how it actually come into being, okay. So we are talking about the existence or the construction of this particular world, okay. So elemental particles achieve mass through the existence of a new subatomic particle which becomes known as Higgs boson, okay. So elemental particle, when we are talking about these elemental particles, or you can say the basic particles, okay, they also have some kind of mass. So how is that, what kind of thing which are constituting that particular elemental particle, okay. So we are considering this Higgs boson as that the fundamental or the elemental particle over here, okay. So he has won Nobel Prize in 2013 for this particular discovery, because in 2012 it was actually confirmed that there exists a particle like Higgs boson, okay. So let's see, there is this particular entity which is made of molecules. We know that in the universe we have everything which is made of molecules. Molecules has atoms, okay. Atom has a nucleus. Nucleus has this your electron, proton, nucleon. When we are talking about nucleus, we have proton and neutrons, okay. This electrons are basically surrounding the nucleus, okay. Now these protons are there, and protons are made up of the quarks and the gluons, okay. So here you can write it, quarks and gluons. Now what constitute these quarks and gluons, or what is the weight which is inside these quarks and gluons is made of, okay. So ultimately we have come up with this idea, that is Higgs boson. Higgs boson has a field called Higgs field, okay. This field acts as the syrup. It shows that slows down the proton and start to clot, forming matter, okay. So what they are saying is that this Higgs boson or whatever particle it is, that it is having a property like a serum, okay, or a syrup. So it will have a property to collide with things and form a matter. So ultimately small such particles will come together with each other, and ultimately they will form these quarks and gluons, and then you can go for the you can say proton, etc. Okay, so that is the basic unit, you can see, that is God's particle. Okay, now we can move further, that is related to your world affairs. Here you have seen that there are not much things to discuss on the world affairs. There is one thing: Israel shot down a drone from the Red Sea with Sea Dome missile for the first time. Okay, so that you can read about it. Otherwise, these small developments in the war are not necessary. Russia, China to discuss ways to deeper security ties in Eurasia. Okay, again this is a very basic article, so I will not go into details of it. Now coming to the for your own read, there is this article which is related to new 3D map of universe hints the nature of dark energy. Okay, so there is this research. If you are interested in science and technology, please go and read this particular article. Okay, now coming to the last part of the discussion, that is your practice question. Okay, which of the following is not mentioned as a transmission route for hepatitis B and C infections in the article? Okay, so you can remember this, you can remove this in the article. Otherwise also there is this particular thing: mother to child transmissions, unsafe blood transfusions, sharing of contaminated needles, and then airborne transmissions. Okay, so you have to choose the correct options or most appropriate option among the options which are given to you. So you can attempt this question and answer in the comment box. And with that, I would like to take your leave. I hope you are watching this current affairs series as well as MCQ practice series, that is under target UPSC prelims 2024. That would be beneficial for you. So please go ahead and watch if you have not started it yet, and if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.